They had cake. Oh boy, you know, we didn't know what to do, but because if you ever tasted the English food, you know what I'm.
Oh.
But I got sick a lot from the American canned food. I was up against a tree out there at times, and everything was coming out of me. Everything. I got sick.
Those sea rations?
It was those canned, right?
Yeah, can yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they just sickened me. I don't know why. I couldn't take them.
Right.
Well, anyway, we had a lot of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I got home, and then they stopped in Tennessee for a night. And then
Now, were you on a train
they were-
headed back?
I was on an airplane.
Oh, airplane. Okay.
When I got there, it was
Okay.
all airplane.
Okay.
And then they said they took me home. They said they were going to take me. So they took me back to California, in Army Hospital where they put me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had 2 more months before they said I was okay, and they came up to me and said,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, you're
A man.
yeah, you know," and they said we're going to put you in the medics,
Okay.
and I didn't want to go home, you know. I wanted to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Okay, I'd like that." He said, "Okay." So they put me in a camp there, and sometimes we had as high as 1,000 guys go through there. We were given shots
Wow.
to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally they said, "Well, all you can do is 200 shots, and we're taking you off the line." See,
Mm-hmm.
we were in a line,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd go through there and we'd shoot them.
Right.
So, boy, I was glad my hands were getting sore from that. You don't realize it, but
Sure. Sure. Mm-hmm.
but these are new guys, and they were getting their shots.
Uh-huh. Right.
So we gave them their shots.
What fort? You were in California now, right?
I'm in California
California.
now. Yeah,
Mhm.
they sent me to one of the camps out there, and they were making a medic out of me.
Oh, okay.
And from there, finally, they gave me one spot that I work all the time into another. It was a medical, what do they call them? Like a house. And we
Dispensary.
had to sleep there sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
See, somebody had to be there all the time, because
Okay.
when the soldiers came in,
Mhm.
we gave them shots.
Mm-hmm.
We did everything. We bandaged them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was learning pretty fast.
Yeah. Okay.
So finally, my, what was it, my sergeant came up to me. He says, "We're giving you a stripe." I was a first class private. I couldn't believe it, you know, because I was supposed to be a corporal when I got the gun, the BAR,
Mhm.
was supposed, but they wouldn't give it to us.
Mm.
Then after a couple more months, he come back again, another stripe. So I ended up being like a corporal.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
medical, and I had. At first, I didn't want it. I figured they didn't give it to me, but they said either you take it or you're going to be in trouble. So I had to take the stripe.
Okay.
But in a way, it was good because my parents, you know, were very poor. He was a shoemaker.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got more money and I could send more money home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so they were getting it through the mail anyway. They
Sure.
were getting part of my pay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes
Fuck this.
one place where we would go to, in Kansas,
Mm-hmm.
we, this was funny, we'd go to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 15 cents. I didn't even have the 15 cents. So I go around to all my buddies and collect pennies. And when I get 15 pennies, I go see let's show it. They were all nice about it, though,
Sure.
you know.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had a little problem in Kansas. Me and my buddy had gone there and bought a bottle of whiskey,
Mm-hmm.
and we were taking it to camp with us. All of a sudden, a guy comes with a knife, a civilian, and sticks it in my back. But you know, I didn't want to move, or he would stick that thing in me.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, the funny thing, one of his friends came over and says, "What are you doing?" And he grabbed that guy and threw him up against the wall and beat the heck out of him. He says, "You guys get out of here." He says, and he says to me, "You call yourself soldiers?" We said, "When you got a knife in my back, what else could I do?"
Mm-hmm.
But between the two of us, we could have murdered that guy.
Sure.
But I didn't want to I wanted to get away and get back to the camp.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. So his friend, he beat the heck out of him.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Don't you ever do that to those soldiers again."
Right. Right. Right.
And,
Right. Now, you mentioned something earlier when we were talking before the camera about when your BAR got caught in the hedgerow or something, or in the bushes. Do you recall that?
oh yes,
Yeah. That was when you were in France.
I was in France when that happened.
Yeah. What? Tell that story again.
It was we went into these mounds with trees up above, and my gun hooked on,
Mm-hmm.
and my arm was hooked up into a tree, and I couldn't break loose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was screaming, "Help, help!"
Mm-hmm.
And this one guy heard me. He rushed over there and grabbed my arm and pulled us in. We laid flat. We hit the ground flat.
Mm-hmm.
And just as we hit the ground, the bullets went right over our head.
Mm-hmm.
See? Oh yeah, well, I forgot to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the Germans. They were setting up a machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that, but they missed us.
Mm-hmm.
And they got out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, this guy had saved my life.
Sure.
I would have been dead if he hadn't pulled me out of there.
Right.
And him and I, later on, when I got back home, we met again in our Army reunion. That's where I got this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we became friends, and we visited him. He was from the South.
Okay.
And my wife and I visited his family and everything. We became friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was glad to see him again, you know.
Yeah.
And this other guy I had saved,
Mm-hmm.
we went to a meeting in Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
and I was walking and by a table there where we were all sitting there with tables. And I walked by this table, but I didn't look.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I hear, "Harry, Harry, Harry, where are you going?" And I turned around and I said, "Oh my God, he's alive."
Oh.
I didn't know what happened to him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's the one whose life I saved.
Sure.
And I was so happy to see him.
Mm-hmm.
We shook hands.
Yeah.
And they said, see, this was at an Army reunion
Right.
that I met him.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Then was that the one you got the Bronze Star for at the 60 years later? Was that when you saved that guy's life? Was that why you got the Bronze Star 60 years
Yeah,
later?
that's where I got the Bronze Star.
Oh, okay. Okay.
For saving life.
Okay.
And, you know,
Okay.
There's two copies.
Yeah.
that was a miserable day.
Mhm.
That was the most miserable day I was. And the blood was flowing like water.
Well,
I have never seen anything.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
It was
Okay.
called Bloody
Yes.
Hill.
Okay.
Bloody Hill.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
And so, what was, I know you mentioned it was miserable, but what do you recall causing it to be so miserable to you?
You mean, because
You
of the
just-
blood.
the-
There were
the dead
guys
bodies.
laying all over, blood all over the place. Some were dead. I was afraid. I didn't know who was alive and